Hey there, and welcome back to our channel. Today we're shining the spotlight on Yakima hops, which are grown right here in the Yakima Valley of Washington State. They're highly sought after by brewers and worldwide for their unique flavors and aromas. Today we have Michael Ferguson. He is the head breeder for a local hop farm, and Brian Buffin, who's in charge of quality control for a local hop producer.
Right, so we're here just starting hop harvest here in the Yakima Valley. About 1 week into it on our farm here, and we'll be going for probably another 4 or 5 weeks. So we have a range of varieties, probably about over 20 varieties on this farm that we're picking commercially. Some will start like late August, and then we'll wrap up. Those are maybe a 1 week window per variety, but we're always mixing a bunch of different varieties of those, at least 20. And so anything from really tropical fruity types for like IPAs, classic lager Pilsner beers, like really subtle high alpha hops, really pretty much just bittering beers. They're pretty just generic, just a bitter counter the sweetness in beer. And so all kinds of, if you are IPA fans, basically this is, you're gonna love what you'd be smelling at.
Here we see Michael pulling apart the hop cone and rubbing it together. The rubbing helps release the oils in the cone. These oils give off an aroma which is particular to each variety of hops. Here we are smelling an experimental hop, HBC 1019. Weather in the valley has a huge impact on the hop crop. This year we are lucky enough to not have any smoke damage due to wildfires, and the crops seem to be doing very well. The yield of crops differ each year, but as long as the farms adapt to their ever-changing circumstances, it usually does not pose any issue.
So it's a mixed bag of yields this year. Some varieties will be above average, some will be far below. So it's a really variety by variety case, and it seems more and more there's no typical year on weather. So like May this year was 10 degrees above average, which is just nuts. And plants are extremely sensitive to temperature. So that was, anytime you have temperatures are just out, completely far away from the norm, you're gonna have weird things going on the farm. So farmers are always having to react to the weather. You try to be proactive, but you can only do so much when Mother Nature just throws you repeated. It's one thing, it's one curveball, but it's like, a fistful of curveballs.
Being a semi-arid climate, the Yakima Valley has ideal growing conditions, every year harvesting more than 75% of the nation's hops. Michael is now going to tell us some of the most famous hop varieties from the region.
In terms of acreage, the biggest varieties are Citra, Mosaic, Cascade, Centennial, Simcoe, oh boy, CTZ, a high alpha, it's a Columbus, Tomahawk, Zeus. It's kind of like a combination.
Every year in the fall, brewers from all around the world come out to Yakima for hop selection. Brian is going to explain more about what that selection process looks like.
So to evaluate the hop cones, what you need to do is you break it apart, and inside there are what they call the lupulin glands. So that's the yellow material that you're seeing. That contains all of the hop acids and the hop oils that give the flavor and bitterness to beer. So as brewers are coming out here and doing their selection, what they will be doing is breaking these apart, putting it in the palm and rubbing to break the lupulin glands as well as get the heat to release the oils. They look at the character of that and they see if it's got the characteristics, the aroma that makes the hop that they want for their beer.
One of the things that brewers will be learning about is the processing of hops, which Brian will give you a little bit of information about.
After the hops are dried over in the kilns, they're laying in beds. They dry it from about 80% moisture to somewhere around maybe 8% moisture. As they're hot, they're brought over to this room, which is where they're cooled. So they're laid out here in these piles until they're at the proper temperature, and then they get put into bales and shipped to the processing facility.
Thank you for joining us on our trip to the hop farm. We hope to see you next week when we learn more about Yakima and what it has to offer. Cheers! If you're looking to buy or sell property in the Yakima Valley, give me a call. I'd love to be your trusted real estate agent. 509-952-8341. That's 509-952-8341.